All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Joe Courtney and Jason Wood. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Well,
It's
hello.
good.
Yeah, we are excited to have Jason back. You've been around for a long time, man, and you are always doing interesting things on top of juggling a lot. So I'm going to let you do a quick intro. You have been on the podcast before, but for anybody who hasn't heard any previous episodes with Jason, quick intro of, where you're at, how you train, all those good things.
Yeah. So my name is Jason Wood. I live in Tucson, Arizona. Been a garage gym athlete for, it's been long enough that I don't remember how long it's been. So I got started in the garage gym athlete programming though, because I picked up one man, one barbell, went through a couple cycles of that, and then got into the full programming. So I have a pretty hefty setup in the garage that's been built up over the years. So we've got a full squat rack, like 3 or 4 barbells, full set of dumbbells, kettlebells, rower, bike, sled. I'm probably forgetting some stuff, but when you've been doing it for a while, you kind of, things slowly start to accumulate. So, and thankfully I have a wife my wife really enjoys training and lifting as well. So, she doesn't balk when I suggest that we get something new. She's always like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's get that.
That's awesome.
So that's cool. So we're both really supportive of each other in that, which has been really nice over the years. But so I do a lot of I've been doing hard to kill track for a while now on the motorcycles. Started out on strength because I wanted to attempt the powerlifting meet. Did that. Now I do hard to kill, and we'll talk a little more about where I'm headed right now in a bit. But hard to kill seems to be doing a pretty good job of doing what I needed to do for my current goals. Other big things about me: I work in IT. I work from home, which is nice. So this last being a garage gym athlete, working from home is nice. I can kind of do it whenever I want. And the other thing, I'm apparently not. I assumed I was the garage gym athlete with the most kids. Turns out Chris Tranda has more than I do.
Yeah.
I was unaware of that, so go Chris.
Yeah.
More power.
He's got like 9. I think it's 9, right?
Yeah, I think he has 9. So
Morrissey, I think, has 7, right?
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. Yeah, sorry, Chris Morrissey. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Facebook names, and I picked the first name.
Last name. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. I think he has 9, or maybe it's 7. But either way, again, like we said earlier, when for you, Joe, when you have 0, 6, 9, 100, it's all the same, right?
Small percentage changes at that level.
But yeah, so big life change between the last time I was on the podcast and this time. We had our 6th kid. So we are currently in the thanks. So Marcy is she was born in October, so she's 3 months old now. And so we're just cranking and having fun and doing all the things.
Yeah, see, I think that you've got it down. Like, new kid, does it affect your training at all? Are you able to just keep things going, or like how is that?
Yeah, it really didn't change much. I think I've gotten a pretty good routine down, and so I know like when I want to train and when I normally train. I kind of pretty much every day it's right after work. So I wrap up work for the day, head out to the garage, do my workout, and that's one. I really like doing it that way because it's kind of a nice it's a nice transition point from work to be, especially since I work from home. I like to have a transition point for like changing from work to dad life. It's nice to have that little break where I'm not like going right from the stress of work into the stress of parenting. I get a little bit of a transition to make that get ready for that part of the day as well. So that works out really well. Because that's like 4:00 in the afternoon, that's not a particularly difficult time for a baby. And so it didn't really affect my ability to train at that point. I dialed things back for a while, just because we were sleeping a little less. But we've actually been really lucky. Marcy has been the best sleeper of all of our kids. So
Nice.
we, for a while, did not miss out on much sleep. We just hit one of the main sleep regressions though. So right now we're actually struggling. Now we're tired. But for the first few months we weren't.
That's awesome. Well, let's
and I'm sorry, I said that she was born in October. I just realized she was born in August. I'm a terrible father. I was like, wait, my math is wrong. She's 4 months.
That's what happens when you have
October.
6.
You start mixing them all up, yeah.
Yeah, after you get to a certain point, you're just gonna all the names and dates and birthdays. Like it's somebody's birthday. Raise your hand?
Yeah, I was put to the test the other day. We were registering our kids for something, and the woman was asking me like name, first name, last name, birth date for all 3, and like everyone's standing there watching me. The kids are there. Emily's watching me, and I was just like, I know that I know him. All right, I know it, and I got him all right. And the woman she's like, "Good on you, Dad, for remembering all their birthdays." And I was like, "Yes, I'm very glad I didn't forget anybody's birthday." Yeah, so the date's not as hard. Sometimes the year can be difficult for me. I'm like, what year was that? You know,
I have to do a little mental math. I'll be like, okay, you're 9 and it's 2021, so
backwards.
Yeah. Well, man, we're right at we're looking at 2022 right now, and so I kind of want to jump in there. You mentioned like you have some goals coming up. So what are you looking forward to? What goals do you have? Going into this new year.
Yeah. So the last time we talked, I think I had kind of been transitioning over to doing trail running as kind of my main competitive, or that was where my goals and drive was, because I really enjoy it, and I still really do. I'm enjoying it. I love doing the trail events and getting out and just running silly distances on the trails. And so I think this was, because I think the last time I was on was pre-COVID, and we had talked, and I was in the process of training for a 50-mile race up in northern Arizona, and that obviously fell all apart because of all of the fun stuff over the last couple of years. But things are starting to open back up, and so I'm looking, and so I'm staring down the pipe at 40. That's a couple of years off now, and so what my ultimate goal is, it's a little flexible. It's ideally the goal is to run a 100-mile event before I turn 40, but I'm kind of leaving space for in my 40th year, like in the year that I turn 40 as well. If I can't quite get there, my main goal is, I'm not looking to win this thing. I want to get through it. I want to finish it. I want to get through it injury free and just have a good time. So I'm taking my time building up a big base of being able to do some longer runs and mileage and figuring some things out like that. So yeah, so this is the official like Jason Wood public announcement. I am planning to run a 100-mile event in 2023. That's my long-term training goal. It's pretty cool. It's called the Stagecoach Line 100. Runs from Flagstaff, Arizona to the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
through all the mountains up there, pine trees. It's a pretty cool course. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll do that over like a month.
I'll do it on a bike.
Oh yeah.
So Jerred, there's a mountain bike version of the same race on the same day.
All right. Well, I'm a little bit more interested now, because running 100 miles, you know what? The only problem I have with running 100 miles is and you're smart about it. You're planning for 2023, so you're going to put in a lot of mileage and get to it. But if you don't train enough for that, it's just going to be pain. Like that's all it will be, is pain. It's going to be painful no matter what, but the more mileage you put in, your feet get used to it, those kind of things, like it'll be less bad. But I probably wouldn't train enough for it. I'd probably actually just do hard to kill and then show up and be like, yeah, I'm running 100 miles, and then die at like mile 60, but still try to keep going. So that is a no joke distance in running right there. Like if people, we're kind of joking about like 5 kids, 6 kids or whatever, like if you're not a runner and you're like, what marathon, 100 miles, what's the difference? There's a huge difference. It's a massive difference.
Yeah.
And it's like the difference between 1 kid and 19 kids. It's very, very different. So that's a huge goal, man. Like, congrats on setting it. And I look forward to, I don't know, just watching your progression over the next year and then ultimately you doing it. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been good. And that's actually, so with my training, I've gone through, I get my gentle email reminder regularly about finishing the coaching course. Because I got to do my project and finish it. But I've gone through and done all the learning and everything like that. And that's been really helpful, especially as I've been making this transition, because having a good understanding of both the philosophy behind garage gym athlete programming gives me an understanding of what, each week as I look at the workouts, I know what you guys are trying to do with them. And then I can kind of pick them apart and say, okay, so here's the things that I know I need to make sure I do so that I get, the strength work, the balance work, the unilateral strength. But I can also then pepper it. I can be like, okay, but for me, like that the last half of the workout is 400 intervals. Well, I really need to put in like 4 or 5 miles today. So instead of doing that, I'm going to just do a continuous steady run, and knowing, that what I need to do to get to that 100 miles, but then also still peppering in the stuff that is going to help me to get there injury free, the body geometry, a lot of, actually this last cycle with the addition of the kettlebell and sandbag instructions, I've been using that a lot. So I'm bringing the weight way down and working more on, muscular endurance, because that's what I'm going to need. I don't necessarily need raw top end strength. I need my muscles to be able to just do and do and do and do and do. So I've been doing a lot of that, and especially lower days, I'll also swap out and do like unilateral. Like if we're doing just plain squats, I might do single leg squats or split squats, because man, I'll tell you, the trails are an interesting run. It is not like running on the road. You can't just get out and go. Like you got to be paying attention the whole time. Here in Arizona, our trails are very full of rocks. And so at any point in time, the trail is looking to cause you to turn your ankle or twist your knee or something. The trail's out to get you. And
right.
So, so it's good to be able to kind of pick all that apart and know like how to get the ideas, but then also to have the freedom and the knowledge to piecemeal it back together for the progress that I need to make.
Yeah, and that's huge. I think we get that question a lot, like they want to follow Hard to Kill or they want to follow Shred or something that they have this other goal. Yeah, like it could be a Spartan race or a longer run, a marathon, half marathon, whatever. How do they add in that other training? And I think what you're talking about is the perfect way to do it. Like if you can just at a bird's eye view understand kind of what the workout intent was for the week and what things that you need to hit, and then you add your own stuff from there. I think it's a great way to do it. It does take a little bit more knowledge behind things to be able to get to that point, but I think at the same time, if you want to be the person who follows like programming plus wants to do a 100-mile race or a bigger event, you have to learn a little bit more about what you're doing. So I think the way you do it is perfect, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's nice too. Like, I mean, I could certainly, if I wanted to, I could take the time to write my own program. But you guys do a great job with all the strength stuff. I don't need it. Just, one of the things I've learned as both an IT guy, but also as a dad of 6 kids, sometimes you just got to figure out how to offload brain space. Like, if you don't need to use the brain space, don't use the brain space. And so, spending the time to come up with my own, strength stuff would just be it'd take too much time and effort. And so I'm like, I'll just I'll rework it a little bit, but I don't need to come up with the full thing, because that's just too much time. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, and that's a common thing that happens with a lot of the books that we read too. Like I think it was a part of Art of Impossible. It was try and automate as much in your life so that you can put your brain power to other things. And besides the fact that you're a lifer now, so you don't even need to worry about it.
All right, man. Well, let's look back. we kind of look forward. Any recent meet yourself moments or struggles over this past training year that you ran into?
Yeah. Well, so the other, I mean, I think within the group, the other thing I'm relatively famous for is I did decide to do Condition Me to the Grave every week for a
The
year.
expert of Condition Me to the Grave, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I got quite a ways into that. I got about 30 weeks in, I think. And then I needed to put in some more mileage, and it was just getting to be too much because that only has a 3 mile run in it. And I was looking to do like 5 or 6 miles, maybe 7 or 10. It would just take, that was an hour of that. And then like throwing another 7 miles in just on the same day was just too much. It was too much volume. So I had to kind of pull back on that. So I started doing a little less. But, there were definitely weeks through that where I was, it was tough. There were weeks where I did not want to do it. I was like, I know Murph is kind of the classic one in the group. Everybody does Murph for a week, once a week for a year. Or if you're Chris Morgan, you just do it for 365 days or however long you
don't stop.
You just do Murph every day. But when you start doing that repetitive work, there is a point where you kind of get to the point where you're like, I'm kind of tired of doing this one. I don't really want to do this today. It's a mental grind more than anything to force yourself to
that workout's huge, man. Like Murph is a like because I've done it a few times now. Like if I just was like, okay, I'm not feeling it today, so I'm gonna go no vest and I'm just gonna go fast. Like let's get it done as fast as I can. I'm still gonna finish with no vest, like in the 30-minute range. You're not getting out of Condition Me to the Grave. Like even if you're good at the workout, it's gonna take about an hour. Like
right.
I think that I don't remember what my fastest time, but it's still in the 50s, right? It's not like you're, oh, I got so good at this, I'm slamming it in 36 minutes. Like not even possible. So
right.
that's a long workout that you committed to doing every single week. That's a very tough one.
Yeah. Well, and so I kind of went into it knowing that. So, I kind of set a baseline of knowing how far could I get in the workout before the time cap. And so what I ended up doing then is I'm nerdy and I put together a whole spreadsheet, and like I figured out, I basically went through and made percentages of the workout. So like, what's it look like to do the workout at 50%? So, half mile run, 50, what is that? 37 and a half, 25 and 12 and a half, and so I do that one. And if I could do the 50% in under an hour, I moved up 5%. And so I did that for a while, week to week. Like each week, if I could complete the percentage of the workout in the time cap, then I moved up to the next percentage. And so I kept progressing through it that way. So I turned it into a progression. And that really worked out well, because I feel like you get more of the workout by doing that, than if you if you're only getting into the 50s and you get time capped, well, you're missing out on a whole mile of running. You're missing out on, a good portion of the calories and the double unders and things like that. There's skill work in there that you're doing. Whereas if you kind of take that percentage approach, you get to kind of go through the whole workout. And I think mentally there's a mental completion aspect to it. Like I still completed the workout. Like I didn't get time capped, right? Which I think, so there's just, kind of a mindset shift in doing it that way as well. So that was kind of the thing. And so anyways, progression wise, so the first time I ever did Condition Me to the Grave, which was a couple years ago, I think, I got time capped in the 2nd mile run. I got through the 100s, a mile, the 75s, and like I was maybe half a mile into the 2nd mile before I got time capped. When I started the weekly progression, I think I was able to get about halfway through the 50s. So 100 mile, 75 mile, and then like maybe the 50 calorie row I could finish. And then I just did it last week, and I got time capped with a 1/4 mile left on the last mile. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's a lot closer. Like that's really close, because that last little bit is like, it doesn't take long.
No, the last little bit only takes like 4 or 5 minutes. And so I got about 8 minutes to to shave somewhere, and I think I'll be under the time cap.
Yeah, that one's serious, man. Like I know when I first programmed it, I got time capped and then time capped several times, and I didn't do it. It wasn't like, oh, I got it the first time, I just need to be smarter, I'll get it the second time. I didn't have the fitness to be able to do it at the time that I programmed it. And I think it took me, I could have been like 2 years, to be honest. Like I don't remember what it was, or the long, because I think I was doing it maybe only like twice a year as like a check-in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew when my aerobic base was the biggest thing that was suffering at that time. Like I didn't have much of one. I was coming from such a strength background. And so I got capped again. I was like, this is like my nemesis, this workout. Like, I don't know if I can do it. And
Mm-hmm.
then it just took a very long time to be able to do it. And you're getting so close. So that's really encouraging to hear, because that means your aerobic base is expanding quite a bit, because that workout's no joke. Like
Yeah.
it's very hard.
Well, and that's been, even so in all of this, I've been planning this 100-mile goal all this last year. And so this is just, I'm just kind of starting to talk about it now because it's really becoming a reality. But I mean, that the ultimate thing I needed to do for that was to build an aerobic base. Like I just need to be able to move relatively slowly and efficiently for a long time. And so that was actually some of the genesis of doing Condition Me to the Grave every week, was it kind of helped to build that aerobic base. One of the things I actually did is there were a couple of weeks where I would pull it all the way back to the 50% again, and I would do it zone 2.
Oh, nice.
So, doing half of the workout, but doing it all in zone 2. So you start, and so through that, and Al Brook was coaching me through some of it too, as over the weeks, is just, understanding the pacing. Like you can't just come out hot out of the gate on that 100. Like you gotta pull back for a little while until you start like really pushing the pace. Otherwise, you're gonna get halfway through the workout and you've got nothing left.
Did you stumble across my pacing card?
Yeah,
I made
I have.
okay.
Yeah, yep. I've looked at the pacing card. The pacing card was always a little discouraging for me, because I looked specifically
Right.
that 7 minute mile. I was like, I can't run multiple 7-minute miles,
Well,
but I can
and
do
what
all
you'll
the other
find
stuff in the
out,
time.
that was like me putting together like the theoretical, right? And like, what is the Mike Tyson quote? Like, everybody has a good plan until they get punched in the mouth. And
Right.
that's kind of like Condition Me to the Grave. I know for a fact I finished that workout and my miles were not 7s or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because I could go a little bit faster in the double unders than I had planned, or I went a little bit faster here. And so I knew I could flex up in this miles to like 740. So that was just like, that's like the perfect plan. Yeah, you have to be moving incredibly fast, but it also added a little bit more of like cushion on some of those movements that might be a little bit harder for people. So
Right.
yeah, you don't have to have that 7-minute mile and finish it. Cause to be honest, I think the times that I finished it, I don't think I ran 7-minute miles, maybe on the last one, like really pushing it, but like, I think they were
Yeah.
above 7. Well, man, I want to jump to the podcast. Any topic or episode recently or in the history of our podcast that has really resonated with you or maybe helped you out?
Man, trying to think. What was the last? I can't remember. I obviously don't have tons of extra time, so podcasts don't happen all the time, but I try to listen when I can. I remember there was one just a couple weeks ago that I listened to that was really good, but
Well, the fueling
We
strategy
did
is
the
definitely one you should check out for your race.
what's that? The
No,
fueling
we did a
strategy?
3-part series on fueling strategies.
I feel like I did listen. I feel like I listened to at least a couple of those, and I mean, yeah, it's always fun because I appreciate that you guys come into those podcasts having read like the scientific study, because I got to be honest, I'm not going to sit down and read the scientific study. It's just not my jam. But I really appreciate when people who are talking about them on podcasts read them. So then I'm like, okay, I feel like I can listen to you and respect what you're saying, because you've read a peer-reviewed scientific study. Because you're not just some guy on YouTube spouting off about some bro science that you think is what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think I've always just enjoyed them, because I think they, as you all talk about whatever studies you're doing, it just gives a little bit more more of a view into the theory behind everything that we do at Garage Gym Athlete. There's just an understanding, like you get a better understanding of why do we concurrent train, why do we do cluster sets, why do we do all of these different things. Well, it's because the scientific studies show that these things are effective. Why do we do supersets? Well, it's because supersetting is one of the most effective ways for people with short amount of times to gain both strength and aerobic conditioning. So that it's just nice to know that, or the body geometry stuff. And so yeah, I mean, I always walk away like I don't think I've ever listened to the podcast and not thought, that wasn't very helpful. I feel like every time I listen, I come away with something.
That's good,
like some nugget that just kind of gives me a little bit more of an insight, either into how to train better, how to just work through my, or even just sometimes there's stuff that's just really applicable to the rest of the day. And so I appreciate everything you guys do. I'll be honest, have not had a lot of time to listen lately. 6 kids. Full-time job.
Makes sense. And a new one. No, we like to check in, man, and see how things are going. But I do want to get to the last question of the show, see if your advice has changed, because there are a lot of Garage Gym athletes out there listening right now. So what would your best advice for them be, as you are juggling a lot, but you're still getting it done? So, I mean, what advice do you have for everybody out there?
Yeah. I mean, I think it honestly, it's probably the same answer I've given every time. It's just kind of evolved over time, but consistency is king. Get out there, do what you need to do. Be consistent about it. Not every, and I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about Garage Gym Athlete is not every workout has to leave you on the floor dead and done. Just getting out and doing. I mean, something is always better than nothing. And there are definitely, it's just, and that's kind of my advice. Like, pick a goal, know what you want to do, and consistently move closer to it. One of the, I actually really like, I've kind of latched onto in the last year, the trail running community. It's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. It's like one of the I think her name's Amanda something. I can't remember her last name right now, but her mantra is relentless forward progress. And I like that, because it doesn't say anything about how fast that progress is. It doesn't say anything about how far it needs to be, but relentlessly continue to move forward. And that's kind of, as I look at this, this goal of this 100 miles, that's what I need to do. I just need to relentlessly continue to move forward, both as I train to get ready for it, and then when the day comes to actually do this, just keep moving forward. No matter how fast it is, how slow it is, doesn't matter. Just keep doing it. And I think that's kind of, that consistency is king. Just keep doing it. Just keep going forward.
That's awesome, Jason. I think that's great advice, man. I appreciate you being a part of the community. We do have you for life now, so looking forward to programming for you until
we have you for life. That doesn't sound creepy at all, Jerred.
Yeah, we got you in there. So we are the programming until we make the geriatric track, which you'll have to be there for. So
right, yeah. I'll be there for it. Maybe by then I'll have finished my coaching certification and I can help write that one.
Oh, for sure. I think by then you will have it nailed. But really, we appreciate you having to being a part of the community, man. You're very inspirational. And so don't stop posting the group and motivating other people. But really appreciate your time, Jason. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
To the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.